Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a supernatural horror film, KUNTILANAK Part 3 Mangkujiwo. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins in the Indonesia of the past, where superstition and myth have taken a stronghold in the minds and hearts of the people. An old man approaches a filthy and ragged girl inside a barn. He hands her a plate of food and muses about how unfortunate their village was for being home to a creature like her. The girl is trapped in a wooden contraption called a pillory, doomed to live her life as nothing more than an animal. The girl bristles at his comment and hisses at the old man. She overturns the plate and screams at him for being the lackey of Jakro, the wealthy patron of their village who rules above them all. She then adds that she is not crazy, but it's Jakro who is unwell. But the old man is just more scared of the wild and unruly girl than ever. Soon, a well-dressed man named Brodasino arrives at their village. The chief tells him about Candy, the crazy girl who is rumored to be demon-possessed. Ever since she arrived, their village has been plagued by bad luck and misfortune. He takes Brodasino to the barn, where Candy is being kept. He approaches her with no fear and tells her that he believes her. Brodasino is the bitter enemy of Jakro, and he offers Candy a chance to take her revenge on Jakro, who is the reason for all of her suffering. He also tells Candy that if she goes with him, he will heal her. Brodasino takes Candy away from the wretched village. The villagers are all relieved that she is gone, and they hurl insults at her as the cart leaves. It is already night when they finally arrive at Brodasino's resplendent home in the mountains. There, Candy is given the first bath she's had in a long time. The water they use is filled with pink petals. A large and ornate mirror is placed in her room, and Candy is clothed in vivid red clothes. Then, Brodasino places her legs inside the pillory again. Meanwhile, Jakro sees his employee, Ni, cleaning a similar ornate mirror with water and pink petals as well. He comments that he has told her not to do that anymore. Ni answers that the mirror is acting strangely and needs to be cleansed of evil spirits. She adds that they should also reunite this mirror with its twin, which is currently in possession of Brodasino. It turns out Jakro and Brodasino used to work at the relic refinery with Ni, but after their fallout, the two men became enemies. Jakro immediately dismisses Ni's idea and storms off. She looks at the mirror again and sees a reflection of her wearing red clothes instead of black. In the dark room where Candy is being kept, Brodasino mixes raw animal innards with rice and forcefully feeds it to Candy. He then utters an incantation, and animals like snakes, scorpions, and frogs appear out of nowhere. At that time, Brodasino's servant secretly watches all this and feels pity for Candy. The film jumps forward for about a decade and a half. It's teenage girl Uma's birthday today, and she's getting ready in front of a mirror. When she turns around, her reflection doesn't move with her. Uma goes to work at a local hotel. What Uma doesn't know is that in one of the rooms, an intense business negotiation is taking place between a foreigner and a group led by a regal and imposing woman named Carmilla. It involves the sale of a collection of relics. The foreigner is arguing that he is the only one who will buy the collection, since it's considered by many Indonesians to be cursed. However, Carmilla and her associates found out that the foreigner intends to sell the relics as research objects and are now driving up the price. One of her associates is a man with a burn scar on half of his face. He threatens the foreigner and then kills him for not cooperating with them. At that moment, Uma steps into the hotel room to deliver their drinks. She gasps in horror when she sees the dead foreigner. She tries to run away, but Carmilla's two associates quickly catch up to her. Carmilla dunks Uma's head again and again in the toilet. She orders her other henchman to finish Uma off. The henchman attempts to force himself on Uma, but her eyes turn red, and she hears a strange ringing sound in her ears. She is possessed by an otherworldly force and hits the henchman in the face. Back in the past, Brodasino continues subjecting Candy to his macabre rituals. He slaughters a bird and makes her drink its blood, while muttering another incantation. He also makes her relive the time that she was raped by Jakro. It turns out she got pregnant after that, and Jakro, being the powerful man that he is, called her crazy and caused her to be reviled by her own village. Back in the present, Uma ends up killing the henchman, and he turns out to be the son of Jakro, albeit with another woman. Carmilla pays her respects to Jakro and brings up the suspicion that it is maybe his old rival Brodasino who killed the henchman. After this meeting, Jakro consults with Ni about the power of the relics. Most relics are tools of war, but the mirror in their possession has the power to show signs of the future. Still reeling from the traumatic event, Uma returns home to the mountains. It turns out she was the baby that Candy was carrying, and her biological father was Jakro. However, the father who raised her was Brodasino. In the past, Brodasino's rituals escalate, and he is now flogging himself as he chants. Canny is traumatized and scared. Her dreams of a better life are dashed as she finds herself at the hands of another tormentor. The scarred man comes to visit Brodacino's home looking for Uma. He subtly threatens the old man, but he denies that her daughter is in the house. One day, Brodacino's servant comes down to Canny's chamber. He tries to ignore her because of the guilt she's feeling, but she makes it clear that he is complicit in Brodacino's cruelty. She says that through these rituals, Brodacino has allowed demonic spirits to take control of her body, and now the baby she's carrying is the secret weapon that Brodacino has carefully cultivated. Canny begs the servant to kill her and set her free from her torment, but he flees the chamber instead. In the present, Brodacino takes Uma down to the chamber where he kept her mother. The mirror is still there in the corner. One day, Ni makes a surprise visit to Brodacino's house. She shares with him her suspicions that Brodacino took one of the magical mirrors from the relic refinery when he left. Brodacino, of course, denies all this and smoothly tells Ni that he no longer deals with relics. He is now a Batik salesman and proudly shows her the ongoing textile making in his house. Ni notices Uma among the people working and remarks that she must be Brodacino's daughter. Ni walks by the door to Canny's former chamber and senses the suffering that occurred there. She then honestly tells Brodacino that it is her aim to get the two mirrors reunited, but the two men's rivalry is preventing it. It is also mentioned that Jacro will only be destroyed by his offspring, which is why Brodacino was so interested in Canty and the child she was carrying. Meanwhile, Carmilla and Jacro have a meeting regarding the threat that Uma poses. He doesn't believe that Brodacino has a child because he never married, but Carmilla insists that she is dangerous. The scarred man also pays a visit to Brodacino's house while he is out. He corners Uma and pummels her. This triggers her powers, and her eyes turn red again. With super strength, she drowns the scarred man and kills him. In the past, the servant gives Canny a pretty necklace to cheer her up, but she uses the necklace charm's sharp edge to try and slit her wrist. Brodacino catches them and reprimands the servant for being so careless. Brodacino now has to tell Uma more about her mother. He lies, telling her that Jacro had accused him of betraying the Indonesian king, and while he was detained far away, Jacro drove Candy mad with dark magic and hanged her. He did not tell Uma that he also inflicted pain on Candy, and that Jacro was her father. In addition, Brodacino also gave her a hairpin that used to belong to Canty. That night, Jacro dreams of being visited by scorpions and snakes. Then Candy appears and haunts him as he shrieks in terror. Filled with rage over her mother's suffering, Uma tries to go to Jacro to make him pay. She makes it to his house and sees a figure under the blankets in the master bedroom. Uma stabs it multiple times, but when she peels back the covers, she discovers that it's just pillows underneath. However, Ni catches her and brings her back to Brodacino. Ni offers this gesture to Brodacino as a sign that she is willing to work with him, even though she is working for Jacro. She just wants the two mirrors to be joined as one again. Brodacino takes her to Canny's chamber and reveals that he had the other mirror all along. Ni quickly surmises that he used the mirror to infuse Candy with feelings of vengeance and evil spirits, so her baby could be imbued with unusual powers that he can use against Jacro. It is revealed that Candy eventually hanged herself. When Brodacino discovered her body, he hurriedly performed a crude cesarean and dug the baby out from her stomach while she was still hanging from the ceiling. He then raised Uma as his own daughter, waiting for the day that he can finally take down Jacro. Uma wakes up, and she is still intent on taking revenge on Jacro. Brodacino plays coy and falsely tries to dissuade her, but Uma stubbornly leaves the house and continues her quest. Ni comments that he had shrewdly used her stubbornness to his advantage, all part of his plan of using Uma as a weapon. Along the way, Uma encounters the servant. He tries to stop her from going to Jacro's house, but she brushes him off. She doesn't understand him because he is mute, but the servant is trying to tell her the whole story. Uma makes her way to Jacro's house with the determined servant in tow. She storms inside and fights off his minions. Uma eventually reaches Jacro's study, and she takes him on. However, he is too strong for her, and he quickly gains the upper hand, slamming Uma into the walls and incapacitating her. The servant fights the minions too with all his strength, but they overpower him. Uma slumps to the floor and begins singing a lullaby while calling for her mother. This moment is what Brodacino has been waiting for. The mirror in the chamber starts to hum and glow red. The other mirror in Jacro's mantle also glows red. The terrifying figure of a demonic Candy emerges from the mirror in Brodacino's house. She's now become a full-fledged KUNTILANAK, the famed mythical creature, and the demonic spirit of a woman unable to give birth. This shows the origin of the demon KUNTILANAK, who has been featured to emerge from mirrors in the previous films in the franchise. Candy floats from the chamber and up the stairs, paying no mind to the delighted Brodacino. Finally, his decades-in-the-making plan has paid off. All those bloody rituals and patience have been worth it just to see his rival fall. He good-naturedly tells Nee that after everything, Candy and Uma still belong to him, and they will follow his will. Nee says nothing, but just serenely smiles. Candy emerges from the mirror in Jacro's house. She finishes off his minions by making them kill themselves. Finally, she makes it to the room where Jacro and Uma are. Jacro is completely bowled over by the sight of Candy, resurrected from the dead. He attempts to flee and runs in the direction of Uma. She brandishes her mother's hairpin and uses it to stab Jacro, just like Dinda defeated the KUNTILANAK in the second film by stabbing its heart with Carmilla's hairpin. Jacro looks at the wound with disbelief on his face, not knowing that Candy is his daughter, and she has fulfilled the prophecy that only Jacro's offspring will be able to kill him. Although Jacro has been vanquished, this is just the beginning for Uma, whose powers are still largely undiscovered. The movie ends with her vomiting on the floor as her mother looks on. This is Dano CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.